Hello, everybody. Hopefully this will be a shorter video today. Really, I just want to kind of talk about the importance of email. Uh, so I push really hard for email communications, and I do that for a very specific reason. Um, and it has to do with documentation. So everything we do, as I've talked about before in other videos, a lot of what we do is audit defense, audit protection. We prepare your tax returns in an aggressive stance, and then put together case files in the event that you're audited. We're able to present a good defense to at least be able to negotiate and end up in a position where you're still better off having gone through the audit, being aggressive, having gone through the audit, than if you had been conservative from the beginning to avoid any audit. Like, so that's what we do. We do audit defense, audit protection on top of aggressive tax planning strategies. So the IRS is very archaic. They're still operating in like the 1960s. Um, their system is very old. It's probably still runs on a DOS operating system. I don't know, like it's pretty sad. And it's one of the reasons why the IRS is so difficult to work with. They have a massive system that has just been garbage built on top of garbage built on top of garbage. And what I mean by that is literally they still, one of their preferred methods of communication is old school fax. Like literally I use efax.com because that's at least a modern type faxing system, but I have to fax documents to the IRS. And then it goes into a queue over there, and it's such an old archaic system. Well, because they are operating so archaically, their regulations also follow that same idea. And that's where email comes into play. Literally, in the last couple of years, the IRS has come out and said that they will accept email communications as an official form of documentation. So, in an audit, it is better to have an email communication documented in our case files, and that holds more credibility and more strength in the audit defense than a text message does. So that's one of the reasons why we push email so much. So I don't typically charge time for emails because I designate an hour or two a day to address emails. And I prefer all communications to come in on email because it creates that paper trail that I can provide to the IRS as documentation that I can use to it's a two-way street. Like maybe you sent me something and we failed to put it on the tax return. That email communication that you provide to me is the proof that it was our fault. And that goes both ways. I mean, that's a two-way street, right? Like, so if you send us something or you fail to send us something and you get a letter from the IRS, we're like, hey, here's the email communications. You didn't send it to us, so that reduces our liability. And then, like, you know, like I said, vice versa. So it's a two-way street, and the email provides the paper trail for that. We use secure email through reliable sources, Microsoft Exchange, to help prevent data security breaches. We carry data security breach insurance for that reason. And so that's why we prefer communications through email. If you upload a document to a cloud source to send it to us, there's no guarantee that we've received it, and there's no guarantee that you've actually uploaded it, right? Like there's no proof that that actually happened. There was no confirmation that yes, I have it. Now you might send me an email and say, hey, go download these things, and I'll download them and I'll throw them in my work papers and then the audit bind case files. And then you get a letter that says you missed something. Well, I don't know, and neither do you, if you uploaded it and it disappeared, so it's now on me, or if it's on you. So there's no confirmation there. And the same thing happens with the IRS, right? So that in that audit defense, we want the email communications because it is a higher level of documentation than text, or no confirmation of receipt of anything through a cloud or a portal. So that is why email is so important. And that's one of the reasons why I try not to charge time for email, because it allows for that free and open communication between us. It also allows me to, if like you're asking questions, it allows me to have time to contemplate the question, research the question if I need to, and respond with an appropriate answer. Like if you're asking specific questions about your tax return. Like if you want to set up a call and go through it in person, it's like, great, you've asked me a bunch of questions. Now we need to hang up so I can go look these things up. And now you're getting, more billable time because I still have to go look it up anyway. So you're always going to get a better answer when I have the ability to spend some time responding to it in an appropriate manner. So yeah, and then the other thing is I do charge time for, or billable time for text messages and phone calls, because I'm sitting here working on stuff. I have designated free time for responding to emails, but if you text me in the middle of the day while I'm working on something, I have to reprogram my brain to think about your specific situation to be able to answer your questions when I was working on something completely different. And so there is a loss in brain capacity in that. When you have 500 clients or whatever, that can be a big issue, because now I'm going, okay, I got to go back into my mind. I might have to look up some stuff to be able to respond to your text message. And I consider text messages to be an urgent matter. So that's why I bill time for text messages, because it might only be a 30-second text message to you, and it's going to result in maybe 10 minutes of time on me, because I have to rethink about your specific situation. I'm going to lose time on the project I'm working on to be able to address your urgent matter. And then I make sure that all calls are scheduled in advance for that same reason. Calls are billable time, but I can't just pick up the phone and answer somebody's call in the middle of the day, because I have no clue, and my brain is not, like, I'm not focused on you completely. And so if I'm not focused on you completely, you're not going to get a good answer. So that's why I push email so hard. There's multiple reasons. One, higher documentation level and credibility given by the IRS, because that's how they operate. Two, it's in writing and creates a paper trail between you and me, or our firm and you as the client, to hold each other to the fire, to provide that proof. Like, okay, there's going to be fees because we missed something. Who's covering those fees? If you can prove to me that you gave it to me and we lost it, I will pay those fees for you. It's our fault. I understand that is our fault, and I'm not going to argue with it. I will cover that cost of those late fees or those interest or whatever. I'm not going to pay your taxes for you. There's no change to that, but I will cover fees that result, late fees or interest or penalties that result because of something we've done. And that's actually more than you'll probably see at a lot of accounting firms. Then the third reason is it does allow us to, email allows us to give you our full attention and a good answer based on research that we've done, or what have you, because it gives us the time we need to be able to go and look at the actual thing you're asking about. Text messages are really for urgent matters, like literally the IRS is knocking on my door, what's going on? I got a nasty call, I'm under audit, like stuff like that, like really urgent matters. And to be frank, there's no such thing as an emergency in taxes. Like nobody's going to like get really in trouble over taxes. Like like in order to go to jail over taxes, you have done years worth of bad stuff. Very rarely will the IRS or any government agency actually show up and be like, we're closing you down. It does happen. Usually it's the state level. And the one time I've had it happen, it had nothing to do with taxes. It had to do with LLCs and legal stuff, really. But that's kind of like there's not really ever overly an emergency. Everything moves so slow with taxes, with the government, the federal government and the IRS. Like they'll send you a letter and they'll probably send you 20 letters before they will actually send a person to knock on your door because they don't have the time for that either. So everything moves extremely slow with the IRS and with most taxing agencies. And that's why there's really never an emergency. There might be some urgent matters that, yeah, let's shoot Jason a text and be like, hey, I'm willing to pay the time for this text message. Because it would be nice to have an answer right away because you know what, there's something going on that is urgent and needs to be addressed right away. That's fine. But there is going to be a cost associated with that text message, and you need to realize that because I am pushing hard to get emails for those 3 reasons. And that's why I'm like, hey, you send me a letter, 9 times out of 10, I'm forwarding it straight to my email. I don't even look at it on my phone. I typically just forward it straight to my email and I will address it in the next couple of days. Because letters, it took a month for the IRS to even send the letter. It was completely computer generated. Nobody even touched that letter. It was printed by the computer put it in the envelope, the computer stamped it, and the computer put it in the mail. Completely automated, no human interaction. And our response is going to take them 6 months to open the letter. They're going to scan it into their system. It's going to get allocated to somebody in the customer service department. And then so 6 months to open the letter and 3 months to read the letter and another few days to write the response and then another few days for it to get mailed to you. So the government moves extremely slow. That's just, they're overwhelmed. Anyway, so that is, I really, really, really push email for that reason. And I have a lot of clients that seem adverse to email, but that's why I keep pushing it, is because of those 3 reasons. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's how the government operates. That's how they've operated since email was invented. They put more credibility on email, and it does provide a level of assurance for both you and me. So anyway, I hope that helps clarify some of the reasons why I push email so hard. And that's also why I don't charge for email, but I do charge my time for other things. Anyway, thank you. I hope this finds everybody in good health, and until next week.